What up, Leaguers? Welcome to the Spectacular Spoiler League. I'm the Pandan Superman, the mayor of Hype City, HazyRome, and as always, I'm joined by the Gotham Knight, the Prime Minister of Post-Production, DeepBoyce. And today, we're in the Hall of Spoilers to talk a little bit about Savitar from The Flash, man. We're starting a new series. We're trying something out right now. We're tentatively calling it an alternate reality check. All right? Now, we're going to talk about some problems that we have with the Savatar character. And then we're going to talk about how we would have fixed those problems with Savitar. So, DeepBoyce, man, start us off.
Well, Flash Season 3 wasn't terrible by any means.
No.
But, you know, certainly coming off of, I guess, a fantastic Season 1 and probably an even better Season 2 in some regards. Some regards, you know, Flash Season 3 had a lot to live up to. And while we still thoroughly enjoyed it, it did miss the mark a bit. And particularly we had some gripes with the character of Savatar, a.k.a. the Speed God.
The Future Flash.
The Future Flash. And
Waffle-faced
Barry. And I guess that's probably the first point of contention. Where this Future Flash came from, I guess his origin story, and really how it's tied into the reason why he's evil, why he wants to not just kill the Flash or kill Barry, but to destroy everything he holds dear. It didn't exactly hold up too well towards the end, and on top of that, it didn't really come to fruition at the end. It kind of came into fruition a few episodes or a few weeks before the ending of the show. And, you know, these shows kind of tend to have breaks here and there. But
they tend to also draw on way too long. And I think that's part of the problem with Savitar.
Yeah, and we kind of understood, like we knew what his motivation was, almost like with 3 weeks left to the end of the show? Or at least 3 episodes left and a break thrown in there. And
roughly, I don't know how many it was. But
and
roughly.
It was, I guess, to put it nicely, it was a bit weak. You know, basically he was a time remnant that was used by Barry, and I honestly don't even remember
Future Barry.
Future Barry wasn't even current Barry. It was Future Barry. Yep.
I mean, that's kind of my biggest problem with Savitar, is that most of the explanation, the character, the development of the villain Savitar was shown or told to us either off screen, it happened off screen, or was just simply told to us. Whereas you had an opportunity to kind of show the interesting origin story for this Future Flash. So we find out that Savitar is this time remnant from this future in which Future Barry is fighting Savitar. Yeah. Once again, there's a time loop. I know it's confusing. But Future Barry is fighting Savitar, and Future Barry calls in a bunch of time remnants. He gets a bunch of time remnants to help him in that fight, which we find out from Future Barry in one of the episodes that was a failure, that ultimately failed. Now, the idea was that, you know, Barry, in taking these time remnants, was essentially helping to create Savitar. So Savitar was knowing that one of those time remnants would become him. He kills all the time remnants, sparing one, knowing that one would essentially become him. Now, in other episodes, they explain that the way Savitar developed the idea that, one, he's the god of speed, and two, that he's the first speedster, because that's something that he also uses as part of his identity, is that in that time remnant surviving and not being accepted into the world that he was left in, you know, he wasn't the real Barry, and he was scorned by that. He went back in time. This is what they tell us, mind you, right? None of this is shown, and that's part of my biggest problem. He went back in time to become the first speedster. He was already a speedster, but him going back in time and showing himself became the first speedster. During that time, somehow, I guess, portrayed himself as a god, I guess, because he went back in time, and you go back in time and show people some crazy powers. People like, you a god, I'm gonna worship you. And a cult formed around him, and thus you have the cult of Savitar that was apparent in the beginning of Season 3. But once again, this is all told to us and not shown. Yeah. And to me, that kind of just doesn't validate Savitar's motive and what Savitar's about. And it is also a lost opportunity to tell a cool story. Now, my biggest issue was them saying, "Oh, this is an off-screen time remnant that you never saw." So you're gonna tell us about this time remnant that appeared during a battle with Future Flash and Savatar. You're never gonna show us that battle, never even glimpse that battle, and that's where he comes from. Meanwhile, you had a perfectly good opportunity to use a time remnant from season 2. So at the end of season 2, in Barry fighting Zoom, Barry recruits the help of one time remnant, and this time remnant sacrifices himself and becomes absorbed or disintegrates into the Speed Force, it looks like, right? Now, at the end of season 2, Barry's just like, oh yeah, I called in a time remnant. He was okay with sacrificing himself. And I always thought, even in season 2, I was like, damn, that's kind of a whack way to end things. Like, this time remnant's just perfectly okay with sacrificing his life and letting Barry live on. Prime opportunity missed there. They could have used that time remnant as the origins for Savitar. Instead of him getting disintegrated, which it looked like it happened, just say he got absorbed into the Speed Force. That actually happened to Barry once, where it looked like his body disintegrated, but he was actually absorbed into the Speed Force. Use that time remnant and have him become Savitar, right? So this time remnant then, says to himself, wait a second, I got the short end of this deal. I helped Barry out with this villain Zoom, and I'm paying the price. Why am I paying the price? Because Barry Allen wasn't strong enough. I wasn't strong enough. So, and this is kind of making a connection to a character in the comics, kind of like an evil future Barry that this season 3 Savatar is kind of a mix of. This evil future Barry from the comics says, I'm not strong enough. Let me go back in time to make myself strong enough by challenging myself. So this time remnant Savatar, or this time remnant who could have hypothetically become Savatar from the end of season 2, could have developed the motive of, I need to make myself stronger so that I no longer have to do things like call in time remnants and have them sacrifice themselves so that I can survive. Yeah. And thus, you would have created a Savatar who not only has a cooler origin, but also has a tie to the consequences of Barry's actions, which is key. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No.
Now, you may say, well, the whole point was that this Savatar was a result of Flashpoint. Fair enough. I 100% agree with that. But you could always use that same explanation that I just provided with the Flashpoint storyline also, by saying, okay, well, maybe this villain, this villain who's been absorbed into the Speed Force after, helping Barry with Zoom, this evil Barry, he's in the Speed Force and maybe sees Barry create Flashpoint. And he observes everything that Barry's been doing, and even Barry's attempts to fix Flashpoint, which makes him create the plot to escape from the Speed Force, develop the lore and myth of Savatar in order to teach Barry to be stronger and to not make these dumbass decisions he keeps making. And I just felt like it was a missed opportunity with Savatar to tie into something like that. And also, instead of having you have an episode where it takes place in the future, right? Barry goes into the future. You see him interact with Future Flash. You see that dope costume. Why wasn't there a 2-part episode that focused on or a 1-part episode even that focused on the origins of Savatar? Show him going back in time and developing his lore, creating this persona. Because, the dude has a cult. He has a following in season 2.
Just kind of gets abandoned, as soon as
100%.
The whole Dr. Alchemy storyline ends.
Absolutely. Show how he maybe, got his hands on the Philosopher's Stone. You know what I'm saying? Because that's how he was granting the people who had powers in Flashpoint, that's how he was giving them powers again. Through the Philosopher's Stone, which is, as we know, a calcified piece of the Speed Force. I just felt like it was a missed opportunity, man. And I felt like Savatar underwhelmed because we ultimately couldn't connect with his motive. Even something as simple as showing the Time Remnant interacting with Team Flash and not feeling like the real Barry Allen. Having to watch the real Barry Allen interact with Iris and him not get a chance to do that. I think that was a missed opportunity, man.
Yeah.
100%.
No, totally agree. Really, they all kind of hinged it on this vision of Iris dying. That was just really I guess the whole thing that was supposed to make you feel hate towards Savatar. It was like, oh, he's gonna kill Iris in the future. He's gonna kill. But
you're right.
But the thing is, we saw it. I mean, how many goddamn times did we see him kill Iris?
Yeah.
That, I mean, no offense, it's just we didn't really care after a while. I mean, and then again, like Hazy said, this was just kind of a lame duck explanation because it was kind of done off screen. And, you know, maybe
felt shoehorned.
And maybe they felt that they've gone through this, you know, they've I guess gotten down into this well one too many times of Barry's, you know, exploits in the Speed Force really messing things up and affecting what he does, and kind of doing that again to show that Savatar is coming back, or rather he's a result of Barry messing around with Flashpoint and making decisions and going back in time and et cetera, et cetera. But I mean, it would have been awesome because this season didn't. I don't know. It just didn't. It felt like it was kind of on its own. It didn't really tie back to season 2, which again, you know, maybe having that remnant during the fight against Zoom, for example, as being eventually what became Savatar, would have been, you know, maybe another option to kind of nicely tie seasons 2 and 3, because season 2 and season 1 were nicely tied together.
Sure. I mean, they did try to tie it together with, because I mean, Barry does initiate Flashpoint at the end of season 2, but the problem was they let the hype build for Flashpoint over that interim time between season 2 and 3. Because when he went back in time to save his mom, and we were all shouting at the screen, "No, Barry, don't do it! don't mess with the timeline again." And then we had the summer in between season 3 started. We all thought we were gonna see a dope adaptation of Flashpoint, which they ultimately didn't deliver on. You know, it was interesting, but it was 2 episodes. I think maybe 2 episodes.
Just gave us the rival.
Maybe it may have.
That's all they really gave us.
Yeah, they gave us the rival with his floppy ears. I don't know what his weird helmet, but you know, it just didn't. I felt like it chose the wrong moment of season 3 to capitalize on, if that makes sense. That time remnant, you know, especially when they made up the reason that Savatar was a time remnant, I'm like, you had a perfectly good time remnant you could have used, and it would have made sense. It would have made more sense, because it seemed like a little bit of a Deus Ex Machina when he brought him in. He was like, "Oh yeah, by the way, I got a time remnant," and he helped me out. It's like, what? Like, even when that happened in season 2, I was like, huh? I was like, so you can just do that? Why not just do that in every situation?
I mean, maybe this could have been, I don't know. I kind of just thought of this right now in my head, but maybe this might be a bad idea. But instead of starting off season 3 with Flashpoint the way that they did, maybe they somehow do something to kind of get us back into, you know, the timeline we're familiar with, and they, I don't know, maybe they do flashbacks in a sense. I mean, I know flashbacks are kind of tired in terms of like Arrow, but maybe.
Arrow is worn thin with that.
Maybe Barry is there are tons of things that he's hiding when it comes to the Flashpoint, and people, you know, once we find out that he messed things up with Flashpoint, people keep asking like, "Yo, what happened? Like, what did you do?" And then we start having an episode here and there that's a flashback to
that pieces together Flashpoint for the viewer. That's interesting. And I feel like we could justify Flashpoint being as short as it was if it was peppered. Now, it doesn't necessarily need to be peppered throughout the whole damn season. Let's not be like Arrow now, but it could definitely have been spread out across a couple episodes where you're slowly piecing together Flashpoint. Now, it also would have allowed them to avoid the issue of that, because I think the biggest issue was Flashpoint is a huge event in the comics, and they thought to themselves, realistically, we can't adapt this version of Flashpoint the way we want to, so we're not going to. And I think that was a huge disappointment to people, because let's be honest, the hype had built for Flashpoint. Even if you weren't a comic book reader, but you were excited for the show during the summer, you know, you were reading. I mean, not even just during the summer, but after the season 2 finale, you were definitely reading about what Flashpoint is and what that means for season 3. And I feel like they just ultimately squandered that opportunity.
Yeah.
That would be an interesting mechanic. Them using the flashbacks, just more in a more pertinent way, like Arrow season 2 flashback status, where the flashbacks actually had some pertinence to what's going on present day, not some random stuff like, you know, Ali in China or some crap like that that nobody cares about.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just feel like Savatar There could have been more connections, and there could have been more fleshing out, and there could have been something that could have added a bunch of plot devices to make us relate more and understand more about his origins. I think that was it. I think we just didn't see like how, like, it would have been really cool to see how he went back in time and quote unquote, you know, created this legend of being the first speedster and the god of speed. That's a cool thing. You know, I mean, even the idea that Julian was an archaeologist before he, you know, before he came into the whole metahuman CSI scene. Like, he was basically searching for the Philosopher's Stone. That would have been, I mean, you could have seen him uncovering the stories of Savatar through that. But once again, it just felt like it was not planned out in a way where they were really trying to be cohesive in storytelling.
Yeah.
I feel like they saw the end point and they were like thinking to themselves, okay, how can we get there? Instead of planning out the whole journey. You know what I'm saying? They were so hooked on the idea of Iris dying and that resonating with us that it got tired. It got tired by the end.
Yeah, no, totally agree. Totally agree. I mean, another thing I'd like to bring up, I guess it's a little bit more minor, but I think it was just the reveal of who Savitar was. Because it's something that they took from season 1 and season 2, and I think were done just amazingly, if that's even a word, or it was done masterfully. In seasons,
for both, for season
for
1
both.
and 2.
And then, you know, season 3 comes out, and you know, they finally reveal who Savatar is, which, you know, it's not that they have to surprise us, because you know, we kind of had an idea that Savatar was a future version of Barry. But then again, we had that we get a lot of people were thinking that for Zoom, that Zoom was another version of Barry, but they had a lot more elements that kind of, you know, mix around with that season.
Yeah, that mystery was
a fun one.
That Zoom mystery was mad fun. Just watching that develop on screen.
But then, you know, we find out who Savatar really is, and then on top of that, he's got the stupid makeup on his face.
The waffle face, man. He looked like his head got stuck in a waffle iron. By the way, would have been dope if they explained how he got that scar. Maybe
possibly. I mean, that
would have been cool. At least give us some. No, there was no background about Savatar given.
There was none,
other than them telling us.
You're right. There was none. There was none, and it was just. Again, the reveal not only of who Savatar is, but his motives were just extremely anticlimactic, and it affected the final fight.
Yeah,
like it was just nice that it was.
It didn't have didn't have the weight. It didn't have the weight that the other 2 seasons felt like. To a lesser extent, season 2. Season 1 definitely had the weight, had more of a weight to it, emotional weight to it. But yeah, man. Anyway, guys, what do you think about our alternate reality check? Let us know what you think about Savatar as a villain for The Flash Season 3. Did you hate him? Did you like him? Did you think there was anything they could improve? And by all means, join up with the Spectacular Spoiler League by hitting that subscribe button. Join us in the Hole of Spoilers to talk about Flash, Arrow, all the other shows in Arrowverse, and many more things. If you like what you heard today, hit us with a like. Show us some love. We greatly appreciate that. And by all means, drop us a comment in the comment section. So let us know what you think about all of the things we've been saying today. But me and DeepBoyce, we are getting out of the Hole of Spoilers. We are going to find the Philosopher's Stone and undo Season 3 by accessing the Speed Force, because that was just, we could do that one over.
Yeah.
We could do that over. Anyway, guys, we're getting on out of here.
Peace.